Hi, I'm Somer Hackley.
And I am Zen Mac, and this is the Art of Search Hiring Manager series.
And these are stories and insights about all things hiring.
Well, hello, Somer. Good
Hello,
to see you
Zen.
again.
You too.
Today, I'm really excited to introduce you to a very good friend of mine, Sofia Kaufman. Ta-da! She's the Chief People Officer at Point Wild currently, and previously was the Chief People Officer at Aura. I mean, she was instrumental to their rapid scale from 500 people to 1,500 within 9 months. Like, talk about three times the organization's size
Wow.
in that short period of time. I had the good fortune of working with Sophia a little while ago, and I can attest to just her. She had so many things on her plate, right? HR responsibilities, executive work, but her commitment to attracting top level talent and scaling the organization in the right way was just unparalleled. She also runs an executive coaching business, as an aside, called SK Talent. So hit her up if you think your organization or anyone you know might need that. I'm really thrilled to have her here. Sophia, great to see you today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm so excited and so excited to get to talk to you again and maybe work together again because you killed it. So,
That is
yay.
awesome. Yes, no, I'm so happy to meet you too. Well, let's
Yes,
dive in. So
let's
first
go.
of all, those are amazing stats. And of course, we'd love to ask you more about this. So when you think about hiring at speed and scale, say doubling in size quickly or something along those lines. So what do you see happening to a company's culture through all that?
Yeah. I think there's this assumption that companies go through that they want to hang on to their awesome culture. And the first thing I would be remiss to say, because everybody hears it in my coaching practice, culture is a result of what you do. It is not a thing, it's an amalgamation of things. And as you are scaling, you are transforming. And one of the things that's going to transform is going to be your culture or the way you do things and the various pieces inside it. So people that want to hire for culture fit, they actually should look to hire for a culture ad. How is someone going to help positively transform our culture? Because guess what? It's going to change anyways. And for people that think that they're going to hang on to exactly what it is that they have now, then you're not actually looking to scale your company. You're not looking to positively transform. You're looking to stay stagnant, which is fine. But then hiring for culture fit is not the solution. What you want to hire is for a culture ad.
Okay, I love that. And I love how it's a kind of this living and breathing thing that's always changing. So here's the hard part then. So how can hiring managers interview to assess for that culture ad, especially when you're growing so quickly?
Yeah, I think so. A couple of things. The biggest thing is people that look for scale, they look for, especially in the executive and leadership ranks, but really everywhere, is they look for people that have seen scale, which is great. Like, say you're going from 100 million to 500 million, or you're going from 500 employees to 1,500 employees. Seeing scale and scaling, two totally different things. Scaling is an actual skill set on it all in itself. And so someone that's going to be a culture add to your ability to scale is someone that can answer evidence-based interview questions on how they have helped a company scale. So you can see that they actually are able to do the actual art of scaling. That's the first. Then asking, hey, how have you positively impacted morale in the workplace?
Mm.
How do you deal with fast moving change? Like a lot of times when you're scaling, it is crazy, pants on fire, fast, right? How do you deal with something that's multiple priorities flying at you? Things that change at the drop of a dime. Well, most scaling companies do have that. How have they experienced that? Where have they seen it? And that's how you start to see, yes, this person can positively add to how we as a company are going to, quote unquote, really deal with it, right? And then come out of it stronger, better, happier, da 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 da, etc.
Absolutely. It's such a nuance, but incredibly different. I love how you have that scaling versus seeing scale. And it's so true. People can talk about scale, but really diving to that journey and will that person's journey add value to where you're about to go. That's huge. And knowing, really teaching those hiring managers how to ask those questions, how to look for that versus just taking it at face value and saying, "Oh, look at your scale." But it's like, when did they join? So, yeah, I love that point. That's
And
huge.
what part they played in it, right? At the end of the day,
Hmm.
everyone is a sum of their experiences. We as people bring our experiences to whatever the our next journey is to
Hmm.
contribute to that other journey. And so what you want is examples of positive contributions to their journeys. And that's how you create a collection of people that had positive experiences or maybe negative experiences and learned from them, but they will make your journey more positive.
Hmm. Okay, so let's say you have a candidate, lots of feedbacks coming in. Everyone's very excited about this person, but all of a sudden at the end of the process, you're almost at offer stage. There's feedback that they might not be this culture ad for the organization. But you're scaling, you're growing, like the hire is so critical. Like, what do you do? What do you do in that instance?
Yeah, and it's really hard, and I have all the empathy in the world for search partners, internal recruiters on how fast you have to go because there's a million other recs. There's other candidates to talk to, but you have to take a step back and say, look, if I've learned this from Greenhouse, shout out Greenhouse, ATS. It's either a yes or it's a no. And if there's even one no, the answer is no. So thumbs down on the candidate. And guess what? If somebody is a thumbs down, like if there are some awkward conversations, the candidate's feeling the same way too. And so the
Mhm.
best thing to do is to have the upfront conversation. And most likely it won't be a fit and to continue the search. Because the most painful thing is to add that person into your journey and it doesn't work
Mhm.
out. And then you're not necessarily always parting ways nicely or as
Mm.
friends, or you're parting ways nicely and as friends, but now you're gonna restart the search.
Mhm.
So, core competencies, super important, right? Being able to scale, super important. Being able to positively add to culture, not being a brilliant jerk, just as important. Because it will cost you more time and money, right? Companies are all about bottom lines at some point, or top lines. It might cost you revenue as well to
Yeah.
restart the search at a later point. So have the honest conversation because the candidate's also probably feeling the same way.
You're so right that oftentimes, even in with a recruiting hat on, it is the multiple priorities. It is the what we call, sorry, team, butts and seats. But then it becomes this issue that you kind of know it's there, the candidate kind of feels it, and you're just going through the motions towards the end. And God forbid that the hire did happen. Now we're 2, 3 months behind the actual schedule of the right person being able to join, and then you have to undo those 3 months and undo the search, and now you're 6 months behind. Like it's such a small nuance that impacts so much more down the line that we don't realize, all in effort to scale quickly, right? I love what you said about that. And when you said scale versus seen scale versus of scaling, those come up a lot for us in recruiting. If someone has managed a team of 10 versus joined and then hired their team of 10, that's really different. Or joined, hired, and inherited a team of 10, but then had to reshuffle because the long-term goals were not aligned. That's the experience that you're talking about, I think, that makes a certain person a better fit for the organization and the state that they're in.
Yeah,
So,
100%. Another thing that I see a lot is smaller companies they'll hire someone from Mang, but guess what? Someone that's worked for 10 years at one of those companies, they're not going to be able to fully function. I mean, sure, there's some unicorns that can fully function at your less sub 500 person company because the processes are different, the way you get things done are different. And, to be able to hire people at the right place for where you're scaling to, remember, you don't scale from A to Z immediately. You go A, B, C, sometimes -1. I don't know, whatever. It's not a straight linear journey to the end. To be able to hire people that have seen where you need to be at the next point in time is really, really important. And then
Mhm.
secondly, it's also really hard later to look down and say, oh, what got me from A to B is not going to get me from B to C. And a lot of time that's people. But it's
Yeah.
so critical to get the right person to get you from A to B or B to C.
Yeah.
And getting it right the first time is so much better for everybody than restarting because they're didn't add to your culture.
Couldn't
Yeah,
agree more.
this is great. There's so many amazing takeaways here for our listeners, just from just truly assessing that, like digging and digging and digging, and when did they join? What did they do? And was it a positive ad, right? And just, I love how you just put that it's not a linear path. And hopefully people have lived all of it and seen all of it, and they can bring all of that to you and their lessons learned. So this is
Yeah.
a great conversation. I really appreciate you being here. Anything else you would add?
Not at all. Thank you. I asked you here to speak, so thank you very much.
Thanks so much for having me. This was awesome.
All right. We'll see you next time. Thanks for joining.